Today, I'm going to try to beat a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Platinum with only normal type Pokemon. Now, those of you who have been around the channel for a while will know that I once attempted to do a normal type Nuzlocke in Pokemon Pearl, and it was borderline traumatic. 6 excruciating attempts, with 3 of those making it past the 7th gym before having to fully reset. And I couldn't do it. I could not beat it. But today, I'm seeking redemption in a bit of a different game. With new encounters available to us, different Elite Four and Team Galactic Pokemon, different level up moves, I'm excited to see just how different things become and whether or not we can conquer Gen 4 echoing the hardest challenge I've ever faced. Let's see if we can beat Pokemon Platinum with only the first normal type that we find on each route, no items in battle, level caps in place, and the battle mode on set at all times. And although we may love the normal type in Pokemon, when we're looking for a new game to play, we most certainly don't want just an ordinary normal game. That's why today's video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends, a free-to-play strategic battling RPG for both mobile and PC. One of my favorite elements of Raid is the hundreds of unique champions that you can collect and add to your team. And Raid is giving away the Monkey King legendary champion Sun Wukong, free for a limited time. As a popular character from Chinese mythology and folklore known for his superhuman abilities, intelligence, and trickery, Sun Wukong is a force to be reckoned with on any raid team. Being able to steal all buffs from all enemies before attacking them, place a block buff on all targets, a powerful passive that revives him fully, and his Staff of Wonder attack which ignores 50% of the target's defense. Not only that, but Raid's latest champion edition is truly awesome. Armed with her trademark sword, whip, and chakram, iconic 90s warrior Xena Warrior Princess is joining Raid. She's got incredible skills that show off her fighting ability, letting her ignore her enemy's defenses and deal massive damage depending on how many buffs that they've got. You can recruit this legendary warrior to your collection through the brand new Champion Pass feature, or through Ancient or Sacred Shards during special summon boosts every week between now and January 19th, 2024. Go check out Xena Warrior Princess in-game right now, and special thanks to Universal Studios licensing. New players, get ready for a total of 4 free heroes. If you click my link in the description or scan the QR code right here, you can get 2 epic heroes, a very strong epic champion Lightsworn, and once you hit level 15, an epic boss killer Juliana. Use the promo code Monkey King to get the legendary champion Sun Wukong for free. New and existing players can also use the promo code I Love Free Stuff to get the rare champion Preserver. So just hit my link below and I'll see you on the battlefield. Alright, here we go. It's time to tackle one of the best games in the franchise, Pokemon Platinum. Up on Route 201, Dawn emerges to find Rowan giving us and Barry starter Pokemon, and her reaction is so... what? Not those imbeciles? But we're gonna grab ours anyway. I picked Turtwig as that's gonna give Barry Chimchar, arguably the hardest challenge as it becomes a fighting type upon evolving. Rowan then roasts the hell out of us, saying, "The Pokemon you have been entrusted with are unfamiliar with the world. In that regard, they're much like you." Being unable to face the public ever again, Barry and I decide to get ourselves ended by a legendary Pokemon in the lake. Oh wait, there it is! Cyrus! Hey, it's got a pretty cool cry too. At the lab in Sand Gem, Rowan gives us hands down the best TM in the game for this challenge, the Return TM, an 102 power normal move at max friendship. Boy, does it ever suck that TMs aren't reusable until the next gen, but there is a way to get more of these. On the next route, Dawn teaches us how to catch a Pokemon and gives us some Pokeballs of our own, meaning our run has officially begun. Moving back to Route 201, we can get our very first encounter, a Starly which I nicknamed Sharon, and who has a bold nature giving her plus defense and minus attack. Brutal, but oh well. Hopefully we'll have better luck with our next one right on Route 202. This time a Bidoof that I nicknamed Danny. Good old normal types being very prominent in the early game. Gotta love it. Danny has a gentle plus special defense and minus defense nature, not terrible, but the unaware ability too. You'll see how this comes into play shortly. Making our way north, we arrive in Jubilife City, and come to think of it, it's kind of weird that a city this large doesn't have a gym of its own. Anyway, the game requires that we talk to 3 Pokemon YouTubers in order to get the Poketch, so we get that done real quick. Moving east, we encounter our rival Barry, who challenges us to our first official battle with him now that we have normal types. He leads with a Starly, and I get our own Starly out there. I know we can outspeed him with Quick Attack every time, but him growling to lower our attack is not good. At least we do take him down in 4 attacks, taking no damage, but we now have -4 attack. In comes his Chimchar next, and we leveled up to level 9 and got Wing Attack upon switch in, so I stay in regardless. He starts trying to lower our defense, and Wing Attack does hardly anything. Uh-oh. However, we then get a massive crit on the next hit so we can out-prioritize him with quick attack on the final turn, and avoid taking any further damage now that our defense is so low. Wicked. That wasn't bad at all. In no time, we arrive at the first gym destination, Oreburgh City, and we have some serious preparation to do if we're to have any hope here. While training, we have a great evolution as Sharon evolves into a Staravia, which has Intimidate, one of the best abilities out there. With that, it's time to challenge the first gym, the Oreburgh gym, and you can fortunately skip through the trainers with their Geodudes and whatnot to arrive at the first gym leader, Rourke, the Rock-type specialist. Yup, with a normal team, this is a nightmare, but with my best plan in place, let's give it a go. He leads with a Geodude, and I know by now what our only hope is. I lead with Danny and start loading up on defense curls right away as we're gonna need it. Unfortunately, he keeps hitting low accuracy rock throws repeatedly, so after the second, I have to activate my plan. Using Rollout. Don't forget that Rollout doubles in power if Defense Curl is used the turn before. So after 4 hits, we take him down with a 480 base power move even though it's resisted. Then in comes a defensive monster, Onix. But even a resisted 960 power move is too much after he hit us down to 12 HP, annihilating him in 1 hit. Let's go. But in comes the bane of my existence, Cranidos, and we've used up all 5 turns of Rollout. Uh-oh. I have no choice, so I stay in, he hits a headbutt, and we survive on just 1 HP and then land a super effective rock smash, and it gets the defense drop. That is huge. But at this point, I'm thinking we might be able to save Danny as I switch into Sharon for the Intimidate. But the Stealth Rocks from Geodude combined with a -1 headbutt still bring us to half before Wing Attack only brings him to a third. And his headbutt range is looking like it'll do just enough to KO us by 1 singular HP. And it does, taking Sharon down. And of course, the Stealth Rocks finish off Danny upon switch in, costing us our first attempt. Ouch. I mean, I did have a PTSD moment when I tried to save Danny, but I still don't think we had it even so. This is rough, but there may be one answer. Our second attempt is upon us, restarting from the get-go, and this time I caught a Bidoof named Mike with a Jolly Nature plus speed and minus special attack. Perfect, but even more importantly, the simple ability, doubling any stat changes it receives. I'm sure you can see what a game changer that might be. Our Staravia, on the other hand, is Ben, who has a bashful neutral nature. Let's go win our first badge. This time, I employ a bit of a different strategy, sending out Ben for the first Intimidate and then switching into Mike. That way, Ben gets enough XP to level up if we do take Geodude down. With our ability now doubling the defense boost that we get from Defense Curl, we fortunately land all 4 rollouts and take him down, only taking a third damage this time. We also get the level up on both Mons, which don't forget is allowed in Hardcore Nuzlocke. You just have to be at or below the level cap when the battle starts. And our 5th rollout demolishes Onix yet again with us having more than half health. Now we can start tagging the Cranidos with Rock Smash, and after 2 hits we're at 11 HP. But I know he'll potion, so I go for another before Headbutt then hits us to just 2 HP and we don't flinch and can take him down with a final attack. It was risky, but I mean, if we switched in Staravia and got the Stealth Rock damage and crit, either way it would have been the same outcome. Just had to dodge the crit, really. Oh, now you evolve into a B-Barrel and learn a special water move. That would have made this battle a piece of cake. Okay, Rowan is really a savage, isn't he? I haven't seen sick burns like this since my babysitter. Arriving in Floroma Town, we can not only pick up Oreburghs finally, but also the great TM, Pluck, which should be great for Staravia as it has the same power but also consumes the opponent's berry if they're holding one. After saving the Honeyman, he gives us some free honey and then asks us to pay for any more. I just saved your life, man. You wouldn't even be able to sell honey if it weren't for me. Oh well. We need it for multiple possible encounters, including an exceptionally rare one. We'll see if we're able to get it, but that'll be 24 hours from now. In the Valley Windworks, we have a tricky battle to take on Commander Mars. She leads with a Zubat, and I get Mike on the field. This Zubat does have something tricky up its sleeve, Toxic, which it nails us with right off the bat after Headbutt failed the KO by like 1 HP, and didn't get the flinch either. Unfortunate, but we can outspeed and take it down on the next turn. In comes an even bigger threat now, Perugly. I immediately switch into Ben for the Intimidate, knowing that the fake out is coming and we couldn't move anyway. Then Scratch hits for not much as Wing Attack does a third or so. Now unfortunately I forgot to teach Pluck as planned, so this was made a lot harder than it should have been since it can consume its berry, but ultimately in the end, with both of us at low health, I can now priority Quick Attack to guarantee the victory. Whew. Now, I was so busy honey treeing that I forgot about the poison that we had entirely, but thank God this gen introduced your Pokemon surviving while walking, as in Gen 3 I would have been punished hard for that oversight. Making our way into the Eterna forest, we run into Cheryl, who joins us along our adventure for a bit. Fun fact, later in the game, Cheryl has a wild team with an average base HP stat of 182. Utterly insane. At the end of the trip, she gives us the Soothe Bell, which is going to come in handy as we have a lot of friendship evolutions ahead of us. If we make it that far, that is. With that, we arrive in Eterna City where the next gym is, and beforehand, I make sure to grab the Explorer kit from this old man, as there are a lot of handy items we can get from the underground, which we'll talk about later. After giving us another concussion, Barry says, "When we smacked together, a brilliant flash of inspiration came to me." What, that you should maybe stop threatening our last 2 brain cells by colliding into me repeatedly? In all the excitement, I nearly forgot about our next encounter back in Eterna Forest, which ends up being a Bunnery, which I catch and nickname Gilbert. Yup, a male Bunnery named Gilbert. Exactly what you'd expect, right? He has a quirky neutral nature pretty good, and I have him hold the Soothe Bell to try and speed up his evolution. Next up, the Eterna City Gym. And this one I'm decidedly less worried about, as we've got a great counter. Ben, who completely obliterates all the trainers with relative ease. In no time we make it to the second gym leader, Gardenia, the grass specialist. She leads with a Turtwig and I get Ben out there. Now this Turtwig does have a trick up its sleeve, and unfortunately we barely don't KO with Pluck, so it activates it. Reflect to raise her team's defense. Not good, but I realized something. With it only having grass moves, I can just sort of stall out the Reflect with Growl, so I hit it with 1 Pluck to give us the range and ensure that it can't reset it, before stalling out and tagging it on its last turn. In comes Cherim, which now gets taken down in 2 hits, although it did land a Leech Seed. Her final Pokemon is Roserade, and it hits us with a Magical Leaf to below half, but then I use Pluck, which brings her down to just a sliver, and steals her Citrus Berry, giving us a recovery, but the Leech Seed hurts us to the point that we could lose to a crit. I know she's gonna heal though, so I go for Pluck again to bring her back down to the red, but now we're in dangerous territory. I think we should have the priority quick attack range though, even after Leech Seed recovery. And we do, just barely taking her down and winning us the 3rd badge. That was actually scary, as our part water type B-Barrel stood no chance, of course. Fortunately, our Soothe Bell has put in some good work, as now Gilbert evolves into a Lopunny, providing us with some more firepower for sure. Being able to use Cut now, we can also grab the Thief TM for type boosting items before heading into the Galactic Eterna building for another challenging battle. Commander Jupiter. There would be a great answer to this, B-Barrel's defense curl with Simple, but her lead Zubat has Giga Drain of all things, so I lead with Gilbert instead for 2 quick attacks to take it down, only getting hit by 1 wing attack in the process. In comes the big threat, Skuntank, with 70 power high crit ratio Night Slash, with same type attack bonus too. Yikes. Here, you pretty much just have to hope that you don't get crit. I switch into Ben for Intimidate, which again won't impact a crit, but she went for Poison Gas and missed. Beautiful. Now I can tag it with Pluck, which does surprisingly little but does get rid of her Citrus Berry. Night Slash hits us for a 1/4, and then Pluck hits her to a 1/3 or so before she lowers our accuracy. We hit through it to bring her to the red, and then she just went for a Screech before another attack KOs. Alrighty then. I feel like she could have played way better, but hey, I'm not complaining. And for winning, we get a wicked reward. The upgrade item, which I have a feeling will come in handy in a bit. Not only that, but Cynthia stops us outside in order to give us something else that's great. A Pokemon Egg, which hosts a viable encounter for us in fact. Before that, I make sure to grab the XP share to help with leveling it up once it hatches, and hatch it certainly does, giving us a Togepi. In this gen, still a normal type, which I named Nathan, and who has a naughty plus attack and minus special defense nature. Not fantastic, but I'll definitely take this encounter that we couldn't get in Pearl. We do have 2 other encounters we could get at this point, but we have to wait until nighttime to get them, so we'll press on until then. Entering the Wayward Cave secret entrance, we can make it all the way to the end to get a wicked TM, Earthquake, which might be helpful for a late game encounter that we'll be able to get. Would sure be good for that hyper rare Honey Tree encounter I mentioned though. Arriving in Hearthome City, we have yet another encounter to grab, this time a gift Eevee from Bebe that I nicknamed Carl. BB, Bebe, I don't know, and who has a jolly nature plus speed and minus special attack. Great, but of course we can't evolve this thing. Curse you, Game Freak, and not giving Eevee a normal type evolution. Oh well, we could use this thing as a sack if needed. Man, do you guys ever think about how weird this random church building is? Everyone in here says something completely whack. And there do I see my father, my son, my life. And there do I see nature, Pokemon, the world. What?
I'm in danger!
Heading into Amity Square, I was like, alright, we got this. Surely we have what's considered a cute Pokemon on this team. But nope, denied entrance again. Lopunny, Togepi, Eevee. According to these people, none of these are cute? In anger, we have another evolution as Nathan evolves into a Togetic, adding some more bulk to our team. And good timing too, as up next is the Hearthome City Gym led by Fantina, the Ghost Specialist. Now, in theory, none of our stab moves affect each other, which makes this battle complicated, but I came up with a bit of a plan. She leads with a Duskull, and I get Nathan out there. I go for Yawn immediately, and then she hits a Will-O-Wisp to burn, but I had attached a Rostberry which heals us. Now, to stall it until it falls to sleep, I just go for Charm, but she hits another burn. Unfortunate, but now that she's asleep, I can go into Ben, and 2 plucks do the job from there, giving us just the range. Whew, a burn would have ended our run straight up. In comes another big threat, Haunter, and here I do something interesting. Switch into Carl. I know she can only use Hypnosis or Confuse Ray given that we're unable to attack, so Sucker Punch and Shadow Claw can't affect us. Our Chesto Berry heals us from sleep, so I start using Growl knowing Sucker Punch is physical and she eventually confuses us, and I actually wait until she puts us to sleep too, knowing if we're both confused and asleep, she'll only use Sucker Punch, and that way I can safely switch into Nathan. With Nathan already burned, the most she can do is now confuse us, and I get a Yawn off eventually. With her now asleep, and with her having super low attack after Charm, I can switch in Ben again, who hits it below half with Pluck, but then, our worst nightmare, as it wakes up already and lands a Confuse Ray before we take it down. No way! Then, in comes her ace, Miss Magius, quite a threat. She lands a Psybeam for a third, then we fortunately make it through Confusion for Pluck, not only doing a third but also stealing her berry. She hits us below half again, and then we snap out of Confusion to hit her low. She then heals, meaning we can hit her again to 2/3, and I have no choice, so I have to stay in. And she nails us to just 3 HP before we can hit her low again. Goodness gracious. I am running out of room, so here I go into Gilbert, who cannot hit her with any of her moves, but I just try and stall her out a bit and bait the Psybeam. Before then, baton passing to Mike, who has our only other move that can even touch her, Rollout. The bait worked as she didn't use Magical Leaf, but lands a Confuse Ray on the next turn. Uh-oh. I know we need to hit 2 of them here, but we don't, and Magical Leaf slams us to the red already. Oh no. We then do land one, but because it's the first attack, it doesn't do enough. And now, down goes Mike, our first death of the run. Ouch. Our only Pokemon that can hurt her at all now has 3 HP. This is not good. I send in Nathan now, hoping we can survive an attack, and we do on 10 HP and then land a Yawn. And we survive our burn on just 2 HP. Oh man. Now I switch into Carl, and we survive another on 19 HP, meaning I can now switch back into Ben as she falls asleep. We just have to hope that she stays asleep for 1 turn, and she does, allowing us to finally take that damn thing out. That was one of the craziest battles of all time. 3 badges, but we did have a painful loss of Mike. Man, oh man, just look at our team. Almost completely obliterated. I can't believe we made it through. Well, the fun's not over yet, as while leaving the city, Barry challenges us to battle. Barry, I've been through enough, man. I don't need this. But an idea came to mind. He leads with his Intimidate Staravia, and I lead with Nathan. He starts double teaming as expected, and I land Yawn. I then go for Charm to lower his attack, and he falls asleep. His evasiveness is high, but now I can switch in Gilbert for Defense Curl twice, then try to quick attack him repeatedly. But we only bring him to the red before he uses Endeavor to slam us to the red before our berry. Here though, I can baton pass the higher defense to Ben, who not only intimidates him back, but lands the priority quick attack off the bat to KO. With the baton pass defense boost, we can now crush his Buizel with a crit wing attack, smash Monferno to a sliver before Flame Wheel hardly does anything, and finish him off with a quick attack, and then finally his Rosette Rosalia, well, never stood a chance, succumbing to 1 pluck. That worked pretty well overall. In the Lost Tower up ahead, we can grab another one of the best TM in the game, Return. Gotta love it. And hey, let me give you a nugget of wisdom. Come to the bottom of the Salacion ruins for some sweet items, man. On Route 209, we can grab a wicked TM for our flying types, Roost, although I'm not quite sure who I wish to teach it to yet, as we only get one. On this route also comes our next encounter, but it takes a while to find as it's only a 5% chance. Get it? A chancey? Which I managed to catch in a heal ball. Nice. I name her Bianca and she has a serious, neutral nature, quite great. Unfortunately, it does have Serene Grace instead of Natural Cure, quite brutal, but hey, at least our Soothe Bell will come in clutch again for helping to evolve it. Along the way to the next city, we pick up a Fist Plate, great for Lopunny's jump kick, and also some great TMs like Payback and Shockwave too. Speaking of which, Shockwave saved our lives on Nathan against a stockpiling Driplim in the double battle just before Veilstone. That thing was getting scary. With that win under our belt, we can now make it to Veilstone City where the next gym is, and also the department store, which comes in handy by allowing us to buy some cool TMs like Reflect and Light Screen. Not only that, but we have yet another Platinum exclusive gift Pokemon to grab here. None other than a Porygon, which I nicknamed Tech and who has a lonely plus attack and minus defense nature. Not great, but I can't complain about a free Mon, especially not one as cool as this. There are also some ridiculously great prizes in the game corner, but I'm not quite willing to commit to that grind yet. As if that wasn't enough, the Massage Girl also resides here, allowing us to speed up our friendship evolutions even further. This city was made for this run. Wait, Bianca was hiding an eerie thing? What have you been getting into, my weird eggy friend? Now, one thing that's cool is that the route south of Veilstone is actually open before you face the gym, so we can finally get citrus berries, but we do also need some more help if we're to tackle a fighting type gym with a normal team. So in the Valor Lakefront, we can actually find a new encounter, a giraffe rig I nicknamed Veronica. Perfect. Although her jolly plus speed and minus special attack nature is most definitely not perfect. Oh well, I'm gonna replace Eevee with her for now. Picking the game back up at night, we can now grab another helpful encounter on Route 205. A Hoot Hoot, which I catch and nickname Rick and who has a relaxed plus defense and minus speed nature. Not bad, and I'm gonna replace Chansey with him for now. Back at the old chateau to pick up Substitute, Gardenia claims that she isn't scared but doesn't want to go in because she's so busy.
Stop the cap!
Another nighttime encounter awaits us in Mount Coronet, this time a Cleffa which I catch and name Molly, who has a naive plus speed and minus special defense nature. Unfortunately, this round of honey trees offered us no luck, so we'll have to try again later. At least we can hit up the underground with the Explorer kit to pick up a Moonstone for evolving her later. With some training, Rick eventually evolves into a Noctowl too, a great counter for fighting types, and now it's time to grind the game corner to pick up some Psychic TMs and also a Silk Scarf to boost our normal moves. Another evolution then comes about as we can trade evolve tech with the upgrade to get a Porygon 2. A bulky and powerful threat for sure with some good coverage. It's time for the Veilstone Gym, and Veronica is indeed as good of a catch as I thought she'd be, mowing down the trainers with a 90 power stab super effective move. The fourth gym leader is Maylene, the fighting specialist, ordinarily a huge threat for our team, but I think we have enough type diversity now. She leads with a Monotype, and I get Nathan out there to hit it with a Yawn immediately. I know it has Rock Tomb, but it misses its first one, and then I go for Charm to lower its attack severely before it hits one for not much damage, but does drop our speed. She then falls asleep so I can switch into Rick to put up the Reflect, and then I switch into our newly caught Veronica. I go for Agility to raise our speed and then nail it with a Psychic for the one-hit KO. With us incredibly well set up between Agility and Reflect, neither her Lucario nor Machoke stood a chance, with the first going down in 2 hits and the latter getting eviscerated in 1. How ironic that the one gym super effective against us was the easiest. In the warehouse nearby, we can pick up the Fly HM, not only extremely convenient, but also a powerful stab move for Ben. Looking ahead at what's to come, I'm going to replace Togetic with Cleffa for now, and shortly thereafter she evolves from Friendship into a Clefairy, which learns the awesome Cosmic Power move to raise its defenses. Holy, someone's living lavishly. Let's go find out who owns this pad. Hi, I'm the game director. Huh. You think you could use some of this money to polish your more recent games? Now, moving through Route 213, I'm reminded of another encounter possibility here, but it's only found in the daytime, so we'll have to come back for it. There are some very cool battle backgrounds here at night though. gorgeous. Moving quickly through, we arrive in Pastoria City where the next gym is. Oh hey look, a Dawn Stone. Oh man, too bad it's not a shiny stone. Now that would have been worth celebrating. While prepping for the next gym, I used the Moonstone on Molly to evolve her into a bulky Clefable. And we also have our starter Ben evolve into a monster Staraptor, which should be quite a help. And a help he is indeed, as we have a rival battle with Barry up next, and I came up with a wicked strategy. You see, he leads with an Intimidate Staravia, so I lead with Molly to take it. He starts double teaming as expected, but this time I'm not worried, as I use Encore to lock him into it. Now I switch in Ben to intimidate him, and don't forget we still have Aerial Ace, which cannot miss no matter how much his evasiveness increases. And I attach the Metronome item to Ben from the game corner, so repeatedly using Aerial Ace only grows its power every time it hits, allowing us to now sweep through the rest of his team. Unbelievable, I was pretty proud of this one. The Pastoria gym leader is Wake, the water specialist, and he can be very tricky, but I think we've got enough coverage now to handle him. He leads with an Intimidate Gyarados, quite a threat, but I get Ben out there to intimidate him right back. Talk about a stare down. With his attack lowered, I now go into Rick, who tanks Waterfall well, and then get Reflect up as well, while we were brought below half before our berry. Here, I switch again into Molly, and with his attack lowered and Reflect up, she eats up Waterfall. And I can start loading up on Cosmic Power to raise our defenses further. I also taught her Thunderbolt, which is an instant 4x damage KO, and then in comes Floatzel. It hits us with Brine, and fortunately doesn't bring us below half as it would double in power if it did, and Thunderbolt barely doesn't KO. He hits us again, now below half before our berry, but another does the job. His final Pokemon, Quagsire, could then be handled with a single 4x damage Magical Leaf for the win and our 5th badge. Epic. On the foggy Route 210, we have another kind of goofy encounter, a Swablu, which, while a normal type now, doesn't evolve with it, so, kinda useless, but I name her Daphne and keep pressing on. Further on the route, we can grab an important TM, Shadow Ball, before arriving in Celestic Town, where more goodies await as we get the Wise Glasses to boost special moves from a guy in one of the houses, who will also give us the incredible choice specs at a different time of the day. In the ruins, we're challenged to battle by Cyrus, and he's not too much of a threat right now with his unevolved Pokemon. I led with Ben to intimidate Sneasel and then switched into Gilbert, but he did get a crit. I then use Agility, and then we get brought below half before being able to baton pass the speed boost into Tech, who can now Signal Beam it to a Sliver, tank another hit, and then take it down with 2 more after he heals. His Golbat and Murkrow were then 1 or 2 hits with Ice Beam from there, but we did get brought low and poisoned in the process. A pretty cool strat. I mean the baton passing part, not the getting poisoned part, come on. Now up ahead, we have what would normally be a scary battle with Barry in Canalave City. However, the exact same strat we did last time ends up working here again, with the double team Encore and Aerial Ace Metronome sweep allowing us to win on just below half health. And thank goodness, because 125 base attack Heracross with Brick Break is a monster that this team does not want to face. I also make sure to pick up the U-turn TM south of the city in case we do get one of the Honey Tree encounters that I'm hoping for. Moving ahead, I'm going to replace Noctowl with Togetic for a particular reason. Why, you might ask? Well, take a look here. We finally acquire a Shiny Stone. That's right, using it on Nathan, he can now fully evolve into a Togekiss, a beast of a Pokemon even without the fairy typing that it ended up getting in later gens. Not only that, but back in Pastoria we can use the move reminder, and with the help of our heart scales from the underground we can teach him both Aura Sphere and Air Slash. Wicked moves. And in the Canalave gym, attaching the choice specs on Nathan creates a brilliant strategy, Aura Sphering all the trainers into oblivion. And although it's very risky type-wise, my calcs tell me the same strat should work for the 6th gym leader, Byron. And it does, with choice specs boosted, super effective Aura Sphere one-hit KOing his Magneton, Steelix, and Bastiodon with no problem, since Sturdy doesn't work the way it does nowadays. 6 badges. In the Canalave library, everyone starts panicking suddenly. Oh, is something blowing up? No, don't worry, that's just my rap career. In one of the lakes, we have to face Commander Saturn for the first time, and Nathan did come in pretty clutch against Golbat and Bronzor, but getting confused and getting our speed dropped wasn't ideal. We did snap out right before his Toxicroak came out, but then we got poisoned too before missing what would have been a one-hit KO Air Slash. Goodness gracious. Thankfully, Veronica could save the day with a 4x super effective Psychic Outspeed. Hi mom, bye mom. Sorry, fighting an interplanetary war at the moment, a little busy. Speaking of which, it's time to battle Commander Mars at Lake Verity. And now Nathan got a good chance to shine, taking down both Golbat and Bronzor with near full health, and even after Fake Out, being confused, and getting put to sleep, Nathan tanked it out for an eventual Aurasphere one-hit KO on that fat cat. GG. A journey through Mount Coronet nets us some great items like the soft sand, light clay to extend screen duration, and the never melt ice also. We then arrive in the horrifying routes of Route 216 and 217. Quite the chore, and along the way I remembered that this was the trainer who killed our Lopunny in our Pearl run, so Nathan delivered some sweet, sweet justice. Funny thing is, I didn't even bring Lopunny on this route for this exact reason. I was scared, what can I say? Making our way all the way to Snowpoint City, clearing the gym has us arrive at the 7th gym leader, Candace, the Ice-type trainer. Normally a huge challenge almost no matter what team you've got, but I came up with a beautiful plan to beat her. She leads with a Sneasel, and I got Ben out there for the Intimidate, and then switched into Gilbert. This gives us an opportunity to use Agility and then baton pass it to Molly. And if you've never seen a speedy Clefable before, well, with the choice specs attached, this is what it's capable of. Yup, a clean sweep of her entire team with a 95 power flamethrower. What a savage.
I'm a savage, yeah. Classy, bougie, ratchet.
7 badges. Exploring the Team Galactic Veilstone HQ, I find a crucial item for us, the Dubious Disc. That's right, using it we can now fully evolve tech into a beastly Porygon Z. Let's test him out against the boss, Cyrus. I lead with Veronica this time against his Sneasel, knowing with Inner Focus we can't get flinched by Ice Punch, but he goes for Screech to lower our defense before I get Agility off. Not good, so I instead switch into Gilbert to tank the Ice Punch, but we got frozen right off the bat. Oh no. Here I send in Molly, who's able to hit him with Flamethrower low, but not only did he make it through Cute Charm Infatuation, he also crit us to just 17 HP in the red before we could take him down. Sheesh. Not gonna lie, I started having flashbacks to our Cyrus battles in Pearl at this point. In comes Crobat next, and I switch into attack while he misses his attack, and a few Ice Beams after he heals do the job as he missed another Supersonic. Let's go. His Honchkrow then somehow survived Ice Beam on like 1 HP and hit us hard with Drill Peck, but another took him down and won us the battle. Whew. You know, with the Razor Claw on the floor of his office, why doesn't Cyrus just evolve his Sneasel? I never understood that. Commander Saturn then allows us to release the 3 legendary Lake Guardians, saying that they're useless for him now, and boy, what a mistake that was. Atop Spear Pillar, we're then faced with the infamous Jupiter and Mars double battle, and this went surprisingly well. I led with Molly and stalled out their dual screens by spamming Cosmic Power to raise our defenses to sky-high levels. They tended to focus on Barry's Munchlax mostly, and eventually I could start ripping out flamethrowers to take down Bronzor and Golbat, and then Skuntank was a bit of a challenge, but never crit us fortunately, and although Barry's Pokemon were going down like crazy, Staraptor came in with the Intimidate at a great time. And Molly never got brought below half the entire battle thanks to her near max defenses. Now that went well. Afterward, we have some legendary madness as 6 legendary Pokemon appear on the screen at once, pretty much an all-out war, and we get dragged down to the Distortion world by Giratina. A long trek through has us arrive at our final Team Galactic challenge, a full-power Cyrus who's ready to do battle. He leads with the Houndoom, and I lead with Nathan to smash him with super effective Aurasphere, but it doesn't quite KO in the red. He then burns us, and another 2 attacks take him down after he healed. As expected, in comes a monster Weavile next, and I know what I need to do. I stay in, and Ice Punch hits, but I had attached a Yachi Berry, so Nathan tanks it in the red after the burn and lands a Yawn. Yes! That was super necessary, as now I can pivot into Gilbert to tank another, then use Agility as he's asleep, then land a 4 times damage jump kick to obliterate that threat. In comes Gyarados with Intimidate now, making Gilbert near useless, but I can baton pass into Tech, who's able to outspeed and sweep through his Gyarados, Crobat, and Honchkrow with super effective Choice Specs boosted Thunderbolt to give us the W. Huge. Afterward, we have to fight the legendary Giratina, and fortunately Tech also has Ice Beam and is immune to Phantom Force, so 2 of them do the job. Oh no, Cynthia, the interdimensional gate doesn't appear to be working. I guess we're stuck down here forever together. Now, upon emerging from the Distortion world, I realized I actually forgot about an encounter, as back on Route 215 in Platinum you can find Lickitung, who I catch and name Rebecca and who has a docile neutral nature. At level 33, after having learned Rollout, Rebecca evolves into a Licky, and looking at what's ahead, I think I'm gonna have her replace Togekiss for now. Why's that? Well, in Sunny Shore City, we have the 8th and final gym leader, Volkner, an electric trainer, and I've got a stellar plan. He leads with a Jolteon, so I get Gilbert on the field. He immediately outspeeds and paralyzes us, but I had attached a Cherry Berry. And now that we outspeed, I know we can get a second agility off, which is what I know I need against a team like this, and now I just gotta hope that I can get a baton pass off at some point, and we do, into Rebecca, who I had taught the fated Earthquake TM devastating Jolteon in one hit. Raichu then suffers the same fate, and here I am laughing about a Licky Licky outspeeding base 110 or even 130 Pokemon as it goes down. Then, in comes Electivire, which barely survives an earthquake on the red, but surprise surprise, Rebecca is an incredibly bulky girl, and tanks Thunder Punch with ease before knocking him out too. His final Pokemon is Luxray, and it survives one, but a Thunderfang doesn't even bring us to half from there, so another completes the task and wins us our 8th badge. Huge. No, not you, Rebecca, the significance of your achievement. With all 8 badges in hand, we now have access to the perilous Victory Road, and a long adventure through has us emerge on the other side, the location of none other than the Sinnoh Pokemon League. Once inside, I had a hell of a time deciding what team members I wanted to take in, but eventually decided on this team here. Oh, and for all the parrot fans out there, I literally went back to Route 213 just to catch a Chatot, our last encounter. You're welcome. I also went back to the marshy Route 212 to pick up what might be a crucial TM, Toxic. Before the league stands one final test, our rival Barry for one last battle. He leads with his Staraptor, and I lead with Nathan to take Intimidate. I then outspeed surprisingly with Yawn before close combat hardly does a quarter. I then just roost to heal the damage before he hits us again, our Barry heals us, and he proceeds to fall asleep. Now I can activate my plan. One hit KOing it with Return in one hit thanks to close combat defense drops, and then in comes Floatzel, which gets smashed by one as well thanks to the Metronome item boost. Beautiful. In comes Heracross next, for which I can now switch to Fly to demolish it. The same then goes for his Infernape, who's also weak to it, and yup, his Roserade too, although I swapped to Brave Bird for good measure. Well, that worked out well. After fulfilling the rest of our EVs and getting any remaining items and TMs we might need, it's time to take on the Sinnoh Elite Four. The first Elite Four member is Aaron, the Bug-type expert, and he's got some tricks up his sleeves with things like Scizor and Drapion, the latter of which isn't even a Bug-type. I lead Staraptor against his Yanmega, and although it took a few turns due to his speed boost and double teaming, we eventually hit the super effective Fly one-hit KO, baiting in his Drapion with Ice Fang as intended. Now I switch into Rebecca, who's tanky enough to eat up Ice Fang and a Cross Poison, then nails him with a super effective Earthquake to a third, but his Berry heals him. Another hit takes us below half before another Earthquake just gets the range. Then in comes Heracross, a massive threat with close combat, so here I switch into Ben to intimidate him, and he went for Mega Horn. Interesting. So a Fly breaks him from there. Now I know Vespiquen will come out since it has Power Gems, so I switch in Tech to take him down in a few Thunderbolts, and then in comes a bigger threat, Scizor. But here I can switch Ben back in for the Intimidate, and then safely go into Molly with his attack lowered and land an unholy 4x damage Flamethrower for the KO and the win. Not bad. The second Elite Four member is Bertha, the Ground-type expert, and with so many Rock types and bulky Mons, she's a hard one to account for a normal team. She leads with a Whiscash, and I got Molly out there, but somehow our 4x damage Magical Leaf doesn't one-hit KO, and Earth Power hit us before 2 more KO'd after she healed. Not a good start given what we have left. In comes Gliscor next, and we have one singular answer to her on our team, Ice Beam from Molly, which she lands to knock it out after getting taken below half by Earthquake before our Berry. A huge threat then comes in, Hippowdon with Sandstream. I land an Ice Beam for over half, then Earthquake plus Sandstorm smash us to just 16 HP in the red. Sheesh. As another turn nets us the KO, and we end up on just 4 HP from Sandstorm. In comes Golem next, and things are not going how I expected, especially with the Sandstorm now increasing its special defense. But we have one remaining answer, Rebecca, who tanks Thunder Punch, thankfully not an Earthquake, and responds with the 4x damage 120 power Power Whip for the one-hit KO. Her final Pokemon is Rhyperior, and 4-time super effective Power Whip hits, and barely doesn't KO on a sliver before her berry, but she just used Avalanche, and not wanting to risk the low accuracy, I switched to Earthquake, which gets the job done. Scary, but we made it through. The third Elite Four member is Flint, the fire expert, and again, I had a good plan going into this, but it didn't quite work out how I wanted it to. He leads with Houndoom, and I led with Nathan. I use Yawn right away, and then he goes for Sunny Day. Uh-oh. I hit him with Air Slash, just hoping for the flinch, but nope, as a Sunny Day boosted flamethrower hits us hard to half before he falls asleep. I then go into Gilbert, get agility off, then he wakes up and smashes us below half instantly. Sheesh. Now, I'm not sure if we'll have enough speed once I baton pass, so I decide to use a return and take out Houndoom. This way, we at least stall out the last turn of Sun, and I think this was a clutch decision, as not only can I baton pass into Rebecca more safely, but it also allows me to keep enough health to pull off the much needed Swords Dance for enough power. And as it turns out, after getting hit low by Flare Blitz before a berry, she does indeed outspeed the rest of his team with a +2 Earthquake for the clean sweep from there. Could have been a disaster, but that Sun stall play was crucial. The last Elite Four member is Lucian, the Psychic type trainer, and I had a few things I could do here as Mr. Mime has dual screens which would wreck us. And nothing on our team learns Taunt as I quickly found out, so I went with Gilbert to immediately one-hit KO it with the return to play it safe. This brings in Gallade, a huge threat for our team, but now I can intimidate it with Ben, being able to tank Psycho Cut well before Stab super effective 120 power Brave Bird wipes it off the map. And I was expecting Bronzong next, not Alakazam, but my calcs tell me we should have quite literally one higher speed point than it, so I go for return, and we do, being able to not only KO it, but also the subsequent Espeon thanks to their low defenses. Whew. That team order might have just saved us, as now when Bronzong comes in I can safely go into Molly, and thanks to it having Levitate, not Heat Proof, which prevented a licky sweep plan by the way, a couple flamethrowers do the job even when it was getting scary with Calm Minding. Let's go! Well, it's time. The final battle, the champion of the Sinnoh region, Cynthia, whose team, well, you already know, is diverse and terrifying. With all the planning I can muster, it's time to do battle. She leads with her infamous Spiritomb, not weak to anything, so I go for Tech. Why? Well, I taught him Toxic, so we can poison him and then spam Recover repeatedly for the Toxic stall effect. However, after she full restored, I kid you not, we missed Toxic 4 times in a row, and that means Spiritomb's pressure ability made our power points all disappear, and we got slammed to half before we could take it out in a few Thunderbolts. Absolutely brutal luck. But as planned, we now bait in Lucario, so I switch into Ben to tank Aura Sphere low, then respawn with the massive power close combat to one-hit KO. Then in comes Togekiss, and here I swap into Molly, but she went for Aura Sphere, not Shockwave against Staraptor. Why? I will never understand that, and it killed my plan, but we're in too far now. As we get hit again, and survive on just 7 HP on a sliver, then land an Ice Beam, which doesn't even do half. Oh no. I have no real choice here, and Molly can't outspeed anything anyway, so I let her go to another. Here I can get Tech back out though for the Thunderbolt KO at least. Then, in it comes her ace, Garchomp. Oh boy. I can't switch anything in, so I go for an Adaptability Stab Tri-Attack, but she outspeeds and lands a Dragon Rush to instantly take Tech down. Here I send in Ben to get the Intimidate at least and go for an almighty Brave Bird, but it does less than half before 75% accuracy Dragon Rush hits again and ends our starter. This hurts. Here I send in Gilbert, and this was crazy. We hit return, but it doesn't quite KO before her berry activates. She hits another Dragon Rush for less than half, but Q-Charm infatuates her. Then we hit her again, but barely don't KO in the red, but she stays infatuated and then full restores. Holy. 2 returns then hit her to a quarter, and then she made it through infatuation, but finally missed a Dragon Rush, so Gilbert knocks that damn thing down. Clutch. We then hit Milotic for over half with return before Surf doesn't quite get the KO on the red, and in hopes of saving Gilbert, I switch into Rebecca who eats it up, then responds with a massive Power Whip to KO it. In comes our final Pokemon, Roserade, the Pokemon that ended our hopes and dreams in Pearl. I switch into Nathan immediately and get Toxic, and then we land a stab super effective air slash, but it barely doesn't KO in the red, then Sludge Bomb hits, and it's a crit. But we survive on just 5 HP, and our berry brings us back up enough to survive the subsequent poison damage too. Oh man, this cannot be happening again, as she then full restores entirely. I air slash again, desperately hoping for the flinch, but we now get a crit of our own, ending her once and for all. It was fate, it was destiny. Cynthia and her Roserade have been downed once and for all. Yes. Well, we did it. We beat a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Platinum with only normal types and kind of got some redemption on the Gen 4 games in the process. That was a wildly fun run, so many extra cool encounters in Platinum, and a surprising amount of diversity too. I honestly can't say who the MVP was. All of our Mons played really well, more equal playtime and viability from all of them than in any run in recent memory. But Licky Licky actually did save the late game, I'd say. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time for another challenge video.